CTWC UK 2024 starting in 3, 2,
2,
1,
1,
Tetris!
Okay, and in the meantime, we're just going to update the player idents.
So slightly different stacking decisions at the beginning here. SV knocking down the first Tetris. Dan just waiting to set up. Does so with the L.
Oh, DanV stacking high straight off the bat.
Okay, no dramas here. Everything nice and clean to begin with. SV perfect right now. 3 Tetrises, no burns. Set up again. Now is SV.
So Tim, what are you predicting for this matchup right now?
I couldn't honestly make a prediction. I predict we're going to have a hype match. If we don't see some deep post play, I'll be disappointed. And it's anybody's guess.
Can we
who's
call
gonna
for
take
a double super kill streak?
Yeah, I hope we can make double 39. Yeah, I would hope so.
Oh, and the beautiful line spin there from DanV, just showing off.
Okay.
He's locked in though. He's in the zone. You can tell.
SV with some.
Maybe you could say the same for SV.
Okay, just 1 Tetris lead for SV here in the early game. Not overly consequential given that we're 30-35 lines in. SV with a little overhang set up in column 8. Opts to do a little T spin there, looking for either a square or maybe L spin. Gets a square.
Nice spin again from SV.
And Tetris from both players there, just 4,000 points separating them right now, is neck and neck.
SV making himself Tetris long bar dependent, just to fill it in. History being made here, as Rand Titan says in the chat. That's right. However, as we say, this would usually be the final, which just goes to show you what used to be the final is now the semi-final. Shows you how high the caliber is getting.
SV just making a few final moves here to clean up. Might set this up in the center. Does so. Gets about. Knocks down the dirty center world Tetris here. 224 SV.
Oh! A backwards, upside down T-spin there from SV. Don't see that very often.
You can tell we're Tetris boomers at this point. Don't even know what the spins are called anymore.
Hey, look, I'm retired, okay?
Okay, Dan with a 1.5 Tetris lead here. Nothing consequential. SV knocks one down. Dan answering back straight away. 303 for Dan, 273 for Sam. No particular dramas at this moment in time. Good adjustment from Dan there to avoid making the long bar dependency on the left. Just looking to fill that in whilst SV carries on Tetrising. Good patience from Dan there to fill up the left. Again, adjust to avoid the long bar dependency, but the piece is really trying to force him to make that long bar dependency, doing a great job avoiding that. Finally forced to make it, but does get the bar immediately. SV, L-tuck. Yes, neck and neck. 10k separating the players.
We have Alex T in the chat, the current world champion. Let's hear it for Alex T.
Oh, you mean Fractal? At CTWC, Alex T was introducing himself as Fractal to everybody. Didn't want to make himself known in the first day of the tournament there.
Okay, so DanV on 423k, SV on 394k. SV currently about 30k behind, but is not quite Tetris ready. Opens himself. Is Tetris ready there? DanV just trying to open up his stack. Needs to burn one more line to be Tetris ready, but unfortunately gets the long bar at the wrong time. Where's the right piece? Finally gets the right piece. It's now Tetris ready, but isn't getting a long bar.
Dan scrambling, trying to fill in this little overhang without the stack going into disrepair. Finally waits long enough to get a T-piece of slot in there, is clean again at 460. SV just one Tetris behind as we approach transition. SV knocks the Tetris down to equalize. Still is about a Tetris behind in terms of lines. So, in fact, 2 Tetrises. So DanV here transitioning with 516. SV seeming to have enough pace to transition with similar score. Sets up the Vits. Doesn't use the bar for the Vits. What a mad lad. Another bar. Completes the Vits. Knocks down the Tetris. 520 transition for SV here. And we're off to the races now. Dan onto level 20. SV clean. Dan clean. This really is the creme de la creme of UK players here, so shouldn't be expecting too much mess
this
from
them. This is as good as it gets. We've got DanV on 620, now 646. We've got SV on 622. Trading blows back and forth, just making Tetrises every single time. Not too many burns for either player.
Smart single line skim for Sam to solve that there. SV almost caught up to Dan on lines now, actually. So it's truly neck and neck here. Dan just trying to get out of this little situation here. Nothing too dramatic. Good tee. Opens up. Knocks down the long bar. 694 for Dan. 708 for Sam. Essentially neck and neck here.
SV going for the Vits again.
Nice Vits. Okay,
could
Sam.
blow up in his face. It could backfire one time if he's not careful.
It's still neck and neck. 180, 170 lines into the game here. 767 Sam, 756 Dan. Sam forced to make a little hole in the center of the stack there. Probably has some big brain solution for this. Flat bar. Another flat skim. J left.
Okay, DanV Tetris ready, waiting out for the long bar. Doesn't go for the double, doesn't go for the double again. Trying to hold out for the long bar, doesn't take a triple. Now finally the long bar comes and he is rewarded for it. DanV on 825 and another 857. SV on 804, 805, 806. 808 is waiting for the Tetris. Keeps burning. Where is the long bar? This is potentially...
The safety triple's gone.
And it comes.
Okay.
881 to DanV's 926.
So we're around 20 lines from 29 play here for Dan. About 25 for Sam. And with the lines in hand that SV has, he probably does have a slight true advantage here, but it's extremely close through the entirety of this first game. No clear advantage for either player throughout.
Yeah, that's
Dan
right. So Dan
getting the max out with that Tetris there.
DanV with the Tetris.
Sam just holding out for the bar here. Knocks one down. Just shy of a max out for Sam. Dan transitioning to 29 play with a 42. Now let's see what...
Max out for SV.
Let's see what the strat is going to be here. Is it going to be line out or
SV catching up. SV on A58. Dan on A94. SV Tetrising. Oh, A94 for both players, but SV's 15 lines behind, so technically SV has the true lead right now. SV playing aggressively, stacking for the Tetris. Doesn't burn. Gets the long ball. Gets the Tetris. This is the aggression that he needs to take over.
To take over, yes.
To take over. DanV right now. Sorry, I'm just stunted for words right now because the aggression on these players is so good. They know what they need to do to push each other. They've played each other so many times. They know how to push each other to the limit. They know what they have to do.
Okay, so I think we've established here lining out post 29 is clearly not the strat.
Clearly not the
trying
strat.
to set up here, but does misdrop quite high. This is not catastrophic just yet. Does knock down the Tetris and cleans up whilst SV is starting to stack up. There's still 10,000 points.
SV is stacking up the Tetrises right now.
SV needing something to burn, but knocks the Tetris down back to safety. Still neck and neck at this point through the entirety of the game. There's been nothing in it, so if they carry on like this, it may well come down to super kill screen. Dan knocking down another Tetris, C45. SV responding, C72. There's absolutely nothing in it.
But SV taking the lead. I mean, SV...
It's getting dangerous for Dan. It's dangerous for Dan. I
Dan
don't know
needs
if he
the
can do
long bar, it
anything,
doesn't get
and
it.
Sam takes game at number 1. Woo! 2, 1, Tetris.
Imagine getting a 1.2 and it not being enough. That just shows you how hard and how far you have to go to even get through the semi-final.
No clone tris here. SV setting up column 8. And long bar dependency on the left. Clearly not phased by this, but doesn't want to let this fester.
Okay, SV, dirty Tetris ready, gets the dirty Tetris. Dan with the early lead.
SV trying to set up this column 8 yet again. Does so with the L Mad Lad. The stack still relatively safe. Smart burns to not block the well for too long there from Sam. And double. And knocks down the Tetris, does Sam. He's probably going to set up one more here, which he does, and knocks that down, swapping back over to the conventional column 10 Tetris well. Dan with a little overhang here. Is he no bar spin for Dan? Maybe waiting for a J or another bar. Doesn't want to do the bar spin. Does the long bar tuck. J tuck, what am I talking about? SV getting rather high hit. Hopefully going to get something
Both
that he can
players
burn
incredibly
with.
high right now, though.
With that Tetris, SV brings it back to neck and neck. 125 for Dan, 127 SV. Smart adjustment there for the S-tuck for Sam. Oh, and setting up the Vit again.
This man loves his Vits. Oh, and a
the
nice little
spin
spin followed
tuck.
by the Vits. What a combo. If that was like skateboarding, that would be some kind of combo trick you get extra points for.
Yep.
Or in modern Tetris.
Yeah, maybe modern Tetris better comparison perhaps. Okay, still absolutely neck and neck here. 197 for Dan, 200 for SV. Surely we cannot go another game all the way into post-post, being at just a few thousand points of separation. Tolerable tournament paces, definitely no PB paces here, approximately 250 at 65 lines, so roughly 500k transitions unless they up the efficiency in the second half of pre-transition play. Dan with the bar dependency in the center, just taking some skims, reducing that to a LJ dependency, but does make the bar dependency on the left, not wanting to set up left well. Good patience from Dan, filling everything in, knocking down the Tetris. 297 for both players, absolutely neck and neck.
Okay, so I feel like the pace of play is slowed down. Both players just playing super clean, super by the book, not doing anything too crazy. Just
Line
playing.
spin
Oh, but
from
a beautiful
SV.
line spin. I say both players playing it by the book, and then all of a sudden SV throws out the line spin there.
I think the line spin is the book these days.
It is the book these days.
At this level of play for sure. 3,000 points separation. What is going on here?
What is going on is these two players are so in sync with each other. They're almost dictating each other's scores.
Dan Tetrising 391 to 391. What on earth is happening?
Okay, if SV gets the Tetris here, he's going to draw it level again. Where is it? Doesn't get it. Unfortunately, having to take a couple of burns.
Good spin.
Right, Tetris for SV, so it's 414 to 418. Nothing in it, just nothing in it.
Okay, I'm starting to feel like this is gonna go down to post in all of these games.
You know when you're wearing a hoodie and it's got the strings, and you pull one of the strings and the other one goes up, and then you pull the other string and the other one goes up. It's kind of what these two guys are doing to each other right now.
GG on analogy, PB, bro. Okay, 8 lines till transition for SV here, 471, filling in the center of the stack. Dan at 121, 509, just a couple lines to transition for SV. Dan with 3 potential Tetrises before transition, knocks one of them down. Might skim for slightly, no needs with the J for the left. So here we go, SV transitioning, 520. Dan slightly
Dan
ahead
V
on
slightly,
score.
yeah, slightly behind in terms of level. DanV gonna transition shortly. He needs the Tetris, doesn't get the Tetris. Transitions with a double with 557. SV in a bit of a pickle, needs to open up that hole there.
Tetris for both players here. Dan knocking down a second one. SV responding straight away. So at a push, 1 Tetris lead for SV here, which is the biggest lead we've had in the entirety of this game.
If that.
Dan column 9 to clean things
Dan
up.
637,
SV
SV 598.
Yeah, SV needing to open this here. It's getting a little spicy for Sam here. Not too dangerous, but that misdrop is going to complicate things.
Okay, this
If
is where rolling is going to have to come into play.
Bad
Can rolling
P
save the day?
Bad P sequence here could end it, but he is bringing it down slightly. Ideally would like the L there, but that's going to work. Fills the left out. He has opened it back up.
Oh!
The misdrop. And there's nothing SV can do there. And Dan is going to take game number 2 and equalize the match at 1 point apiece.
3, 2, 1, Tetris. I have to keep pinching myself and reminding myself that this isn't the final.
It does seem, Vits from Sam immediately, it does almost seem a crime for one of these players having to, be pushed out and not play in the final. But we have a few other players in the UK now that are sort of pushing towards that level of skill. Sonny finally made it down to compete. Heps has upped his chops. So, yeah, it's just the way it's worked out that they've been forced to play each other earlier than the finals.
Yeah, it happens. It's going to happen eventually, especially when the caliber of play improves every year. So we've got DanV Tetris ready here, holding out for the long bar. It's just not coming, though.
Little complications for SV here. I think on level 18 this is not dangerous.
Nothing he can't clean up,
just
for sure.
A little bit of a slowdown in scoring ability.
I feel like DanV is just being slowed down by all these droughts.
Yeah, that's interesting. Actually, sometimes you could be in a big digging situation thinking, oh, I'm going to end up 100k behind here. But if there are actually droughts and your opponent can't capitalize at all, ends up not making much difference. So Dan, even with all of that burning from Sam, only 2 Tetrises ahead here. Both players clean and both knocking down Tetrises. 170 for Dan, 125 for SV. So trailing by around 2 Tetrises is Sam. Nice spin for Daniel.
Okay, SV hitting the Tetris there. SV on 148k, Dan on 170k. Dan hitting the Tetris himself. So a little bit of a shaky start for both players, but we're back to the status quo now of both players just pinging it back and forth to each other.
SV with a interesting little overhang situation. Tucks the bar. Solves immediately.
Is that a Vits, technically?
I don't know.
It's like a quasi-Vits.
Yeah. Okay. Slightly better pace from Dan than in the previous game. This is looking more like 600 transition pace currently. SV looking more like maybe 550 transition pace. Good adjustment for Dan there to accommodate the J. Big brain move. Yeah, Dan just maintaining this 2 Tetris lead at the moment, in contrast to the last couple of games where it's been neck and neck through the entirety of them. It is not neck and neck right now. Okay, couple tucks from SV there. Both players nice and clean. Dan knocking it down. SV answering back. Tetris again from both players.
SV likes these hang kind of setups, doesn't he?
He does, yeah.
Do we reckon they're optimal? Is this the general consensus in the community?
They certainly can be if you're able to find efficient solutions. If you make the overhangs to avoid taking the burns in the first place, definitely increase efficiency. They're typically for, you know, mortals like us, only employed in sort of PB runs and so on. But at this level, they are employed in tournament. And if they work, when the you know, when it is so close between the two players, then that can make a difference, you know, over the course of, you know, 130 lines of pre-transition
especially
play.
when they're so close and the tiniest little advantage
And it's
can make all the
neck
difference.
and neck right now, 800 points difference. So Sam's closed the small gap that Dan did have.
Loved that adjustment there from SV.
95 lines apiece. Dan 1 Tetris ahead, so really nothing in it still. Players just displaying how closely matched they are in terms of skill level.
Double Tetris there for SV. That was very, very welcome.
Yeah, this is decent pace now. 500k at 100 lines. This is like decent 650 or above transition pace for both players. Dan knocking another one down, 539. SV answering back immediately, 517. 23 lines until the level 19 transition here, where we will experience the speed doubling.
Dan needing to sort out the left-hand side of his board right now, slightly lower than the rest of his board, wanting to readjust parity.
Is SV going to set up in the center here? Looks like he is. Very efficient decision from SV there. Just wanting the L or the bar. Perfect.
Blimey, look at these scores again.
Quite decent. So Dan looking at one more Tetris. SV potentially 2 more Tetrises before the transition. 630 Dan, 610 SV.
So you know, on the last game I was like, we might have a combined transition record of sorts. This has already been in it. So DanV transitioning with 658. SV.
Space for one more, but doesn't want to let this stack spiral out of control, trying to force that last
SV transitioning
Tetris.
with 634.
Wants something for the left, is bar dependent now, and setting it up, takes a skim, still set up his Sam, knocks down the dirty
for
left
SV,
well
661
Tetris.
to DanV 686.
So Dan still with this 1 Tetris lead. Both players clean and set up now. SV knocking it down to even. 688 for both players, absolutely neck and neck again. Dan J dependent, fills a J, knocks down a Tetris, 719. Safety skim for Sam, knocks one down, as does Dan, so just 1 Tetris lead still maintained by Dan here. Okay. Very clean play here from both players. A masterclass, truly, of NES Tetris play. With that Tetris, Dan goes up to 800k now.
Yeah, but Dan 7 lines ahead in pace, so pretty much even Stevens for both players right now. Dan on 829, SV on 831. Same line, same score essentially. It's evens. It's going to go down to the wire here.
It's very decent pace, mid 800k, level 23. This is easy 1.2 pace if we don't have some kind of slowdown.
Oh,
bar
SV
spin.
with a beautiful line spin again. And that line, that long bar didn't really have anywhere else to go, so that was essentially the perfect thing to do with it. It wasn't just showing off, it was the right move.
SV just waiting for a few pieces here to get this back open. Sets up for this center well here. Does have burning options, so not too dangerous. Forced to block it momentarily.
Oh, and unfortunately the long bar comes just at the wrong time.
He's still chilling, he's chilling. Do you
want to say that again?
He's chilling, bruh.
Okay, SV going for it again.
He's just not getting the
He's
bar.
just thinking, you don't want to give it me the first time? Okay, you don't want to give me the second time? Okay.
Finally gets the dirty.
Finally gets it.
Still only a 1 Tetris lead by Dan here, but Sam is going to want to open this back up. Whilst Dan cleans up a little. Sam with a little hole up top of the stack. Let's see how he's going to resolve.
Yeah, and after all of that, look at their scores.
9-5-7 to 9-5-4. Neck and neck. 2 levels till 29 play here. Both players on the verge of maxing out. Sam set up, needs a L, gets the L, knocks it down. Tetris for Sam, and max out for Sam. Dan on the verge of maxing out.
Dan on the verge of doing the same, needs the long bar. Is he going to get the long bar for the max out?
Okay.
1K away. Okay, singles into the
double
max out
here. Both players, 5 lines to go, potentially 2 Tetrises if they play perfectly before 29. Sam decides to refuse the burn. Hopefully it's not going to bite him.
Oof.
The stack is quite high. He's got 1 line to go.
Nice double there, but has 1 line to go.
Oh, come on.
Oh, and can he get it across? He gets it across. Okay, this is good for SV right now. Tetris is down. He's down close to the bottom of the board now. He can play normally.
Sam knocking down a few Tetrises immediately in post.
Then again, this is SV. Playing normally doesn't come normally to him.
SV blocked the left. He needs a bar.
Oh, he gets the bar.
Might be able
Can
to
he burn
still
this
survive
down?
this. Okay, he's fairly safe.
Oh my gosh.
The bar
How do
to
you
the
get
left
that
makes him
across?
quite safe. He can easily bring this back down. Gets
Oh
the bar
my
over.
gosh.
Should be safe now, should Sam. But Dan still trailing a little behind. Whilst
Look at this
SV
dig from SV. In the meantime,
digging
Dan is somehow behind.
Okay, both players almost clean again now. Just a few more burns needed to be clean. Again, unless Dan is going to set up here. No, he's not. He's going to just bring this back down. SV may be trying to set up with the center. But no, he's going to go back to column 10 setup. Dan, still a little work to do before he can set up again.
Okay, Dan hitting the C. Okay, Dan, C09, SV, C55.
Yeah.
Oh, but the misdrop there from DanV.
This
He's gonna have
could
to
be
sort this
fatal
out.
if he doesn't get anything here. And that misdrop is going to make things very difficult.
That could be fatal right now.
And that's probably sealing. That seals a deal.
Wow.
So Sam goes up 2-1.
2-1.
He's gonna do a
dig
little
from SV.
Little victory lap here for Sam. Let's see what he's got. A few little misdrops here, but should be able to hopefully survive this and show us a little bit more. Takes a triple there.
I feel like if SV wins this entire matchup, he's going to look back at that dig and say that was where everything turned around. That could potentially be where the momentum shifts now.
SV unable to get the J over, so only 1.3 from Sam there. GG's.
2-1. Tetris.
Interesting starting placements from SV all the way in column 9. That's an Alex H strat, is it
Yeah,
not?
a little bit, a little bit, yeah. Guess players are just wanting to mix it up. Let's try something new. It's like chess openings. When you know your opponent is prepared, just go out of the book. Throw the book out of the window and try something new. Try to throw them off.
I think it's to do with the openers like SZ, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe easier
Whenever you get
playing
an
it
S or a
flat
Z to
on
start.
the right hand side to begin with, potentially. Okay, 2 Tetrises apiece right now. SV capable of winning this game and winning the match, taking him to the finals to play brand new finalist Sunny, and Dan really needing to cling on here to try and force the decider. So Dan on the back foot here. The pressure is on for Dan right now.
I feel like everyone in the room and everyone on Twitch chat is still reeling from that dig from SV. But that's by the by.
Exact
now. We need to
same score for a second there.
Yep, classic. Fairly recurring
SV
theme.
with the Vits again.
Again, we're getting a lot of recurring
Nice
themes here.
Vits.
Similar scores, Vits from SV. Okay, so
1,000 points difference.
yeah, 1,000 points. I mean, is there any point of us even calling out the score? Because it's pretty much going to be identical every time we do.
Yeah, I think the biggest lead we've had in the 3 games thus far has been maybe 60k, like 3 Tetris lead, maybe, briefly, that's all. It's incredible to have such tiny differentials through
Just saw a really
3 entire
brief
games.
grimace on SV's face there. I think he was trying to set up for a dirty and then realized the long bar came and gave him a triple and he just went for it. He just thought, oh.
Okay, SV maybe going to experience a little slowdown here. Dan, 40k lead right now, and is clean, knocks it down. 3 Tetris lead now for Dan, but SV already clean. Light work for young Samuel to open back up there. Knocks the Tetris down, 242. Both players absolutely locked in here. Crowd silent in anticipation.
Yeah, you could hear a needle drop in here, honestly. It's
Dan
so
with a very
silent.
nice pace here, 301k before 60 lines. Very
Everyone
nice.
on the edge of their seats right now. You were at CTWC. Was the room silent when it was an intense moment?
Maybe at points, yeah. It was rather not.
Someone in the
Okay.
crowd just played some crickets chirping.
Alright, Dan keeping this 2 Tetris lead, make that 3 Tetris lead, but SV clean again now, ready to do some Tetrising. He does so. Dan at the same time, so 3 Tetris lead for Dan here. Make that 2. Dan just couple skims, clean back up. SV reducing it just to 1 Tetris deficit here, so on the verge of neck and neck again. Sam with interesting overhangs here.
Ooh.
Doesn't
Could
attempt
that have
the
gone in?
I think Buko. No?
No, he says no.
Okay.
He knows better than us, clearly.
I thought I identified the Buko spin setup, clearly not.
So I would have tried to get that in and I would have failed.
Okay, 100 lines, DanV, 472,000 points, 3.5 Tetrises ahead of SV. This is what Dan wants. Dan wants to be heading into transition with a lead and trying to maintain that to have some kind of advantage into 29 play. All the games so far have been so neck and neck. It's just been all to play for in the post-post.
Ooh, the bits from DanV, though, giving SV a taste of his own medicine.
Dan breaching 500k here. Still maintaining that 3 Tetris lead. Both players nice and clean, no issues.
DanV on 520, SV on 499. Another massive, huge scoring game here for both players.
Decent. SV with a little double flip there is going to create some amount of holes. Flat bar, very good.
Great horizontal awareness.
Sam wanting to fix this quickly before we get to transition. And Dan, 2 lines away, gets set up and is going to transition with 6, 17. And SV going to transition with 530. So all of a sudden, Dan has actually opened an 80k lead, approximately 4 Tetris lead here, which he does want to have.
Yeah, let's see if he can hold it.
Over 100,000 point leads now for Dan, with that Tetris back down to 80. SV with another Tetris.
But I feel like the normal transition and then obviously kill screen, this is where SV comes alive. Okay, so both players just trying to get themselves Tetris ready. SV almost getting there. Just having to make some nips and tucks here for the time being.
Okay, into level 21. Dan with a big bar dependency in column 3 is going to try plug all of the holes here. Is set up dirty now. Going to try and maintain the efficiency by Tetrising here. Takes a safety triple. Still set up. Knocks down the dirty
Where is the Vits?
Tetris.
Can SV get the Vits though?
I think it's about time for a Vits to not work for Sam.
This is what I'm
Okay.
saying. Oh, he teased us. He teased us.
Rip Jasmine, yeah. Okay. Just shy of 100k lead for Dan. So Dan is managing to hold on to this 4 Tetris lead as we're approaching the second half of the post-transition play here. Dan a little bit dependent. Should be able to open this up with just a few burns.
Son of a bitch.
SV nice and clean, knocks it down 792. And another one, 822. Dan answering back, 894. 75,000 point deficit for Sam right now. Dan got a few little, what are they called? Overhangs. Brain no work anymore.
Brain no work after watching all these crazy Tetris
Okay,
players.
900k for both players on level 25. This is very decent pace. Sam Tetris taking the lead now, actually.
I mean, this play is so good, it's just making my... I have no words anymore.
So, unfortunately, Dan has now completely lost that big 4 Tetris lead that he has maintained for the majority of the post-transition play here.
Okay, DanV with the max out.
And SV with a max out.
Okay, so both players maxing out. SV on the A45, DanV on the A05. So, DanV 40k points behind right now. Slowly easing their way towards the kill screen, preparing themselves.
And all of a sudden, SV with the 70,000 point lead, and Dan having a little cleanup to do here with just
As I said,
6 lines to transition. Good L skim. Is going to block the well, and perfect bar to reopen. 1 line to burn before Dan transitions
B19
here.
heading
SV
into transition. SV
already on 1.1. Dan transitioning.
Okay, DanV transitioning on A90. SV transitioning on B56. SV is 66k ahead. We are now on the kill screen. What can the players do? If I had to make a prediction right now, I think this, as I say, this is where SV comes alive.
Okay, SV clean again now and set up.
Oh,
Knocks
look at
a
the
Tetris
aggression.
down
Look
onto
at the aggression. It's paying off.
1.2 now for Sam. Dan set up there, knocks down the Tetris, just shy of 1.2 now for Dan. Both players clean, trying to set up. Dan set up, knocks it down. C20, just 40k behind now is Dan. Long bar in column 9, very aggressive setup for SV. Knocks it down again, just shy of 1.3. Dan with a misdrop there, needs to clean this up. Not too dangerous. SV also with a little bit of garbage here.
Misdrop for DanV right now. I'm going to have to spend some time clearing this up right now, whereas SV's burning down to the bottom of the stack.
Dan getting safe again now. This shouldn't be a problem. Does misdrop, but it's still fairly safe. This should be okay. SV with a few misdrops now, but SV is ahead
Oh,
at
SV needs the burns, though. He needs the right burns.
We need a 2 wide. Get the 2 wide. He's opened. Gets...
Oh, wasn't quite Tetris ready there, but it's okay.
Okay, SV with D40, that's 1.3.
Dan building for it. Tetris ready, needs the long ball. Where's the long ball? He's got to get the long ball. Where is it? It's Tetris ready now.
Sam now very dangerous on the brink of topping out. Not sure he can survive this.
Can't survive
D41,
it.
so Dan only
D42.
needing 15,000 more points to equalize. This is very easy for Dan to line this out now. Unless something dramatically goes wrong, he just needs a few more burns. Just one more burn, probably. Burn, Daniel. Few more points, I think. Needs 100 points.
That's
it. DanV equalising, taking us to a decider in the semi-final here. The best of 5 becoming a best of 3, now best of 1.
And a quick observation. I see Sunny sat very close to the stage. Sunny is actually sat right by the commentary booth area.
Game number 5, here we go in
3, 2, 1, Tetris! Good luck, both players. Here we go. I think we're going to be in for a treat here, whichever way it goes. What would we do without these two? Okay, so we have SV Tetris ready, opening up the stack. DanV Tetris ready, both in the same drought right now. Okay, there's the long bar. Should come for SV very shortly. There it is. Okay, both players just same score, same line, same stack, same story. Essentially, it's the tale of this match is both players just keeping each other in check here. Nothing really to commentate on, to be honest with you. It's so clean.
SV equalising there, 117 SV, 115 Sam. Dan with some interesting overhangs here. Probably wants to S-spin, doesn't wait. Let's see how he resolves this. Is he going to set up dirty, perhaps?
Unfortunate burning situation here now for DanV. This is going to give SV the chance to plough slightly ahead with a bit of a lead if he can take advantage of this situation.
Dan nearly clean again now, though, so no serious slowdown likely to happen for Dan here.
But you know how close...
May opt to... It looks to be setting up one off the bottom here.
DanV going dirty?
Dusty, as Colin would say. Dusty Tetris ready is Dan, knocks it down, sets up again with the square, knocks another one down, 173.
One off the bottom's hardly even dusty, it's just a little bit of a...
Fluffy Tetris.
Fluffy, yeah. Bit of lint.
Need to get the lint roller out for, for that setup. Okay, Sam running away with it a little bit here. About 80,000 point lead, so 4 Tetris lead here for SV, whilst Dan's still just trying to clean up a little.
Not the nicest start in the world for Dan here. He's kind of just getting suffer pieces.
Yeah, this is getting a little complicated for Dan. Not too dangerous, but it is going to mean that SV is able to continue capitalizing right now. Breaking 300k at 60 lines is SV. Very nice tournament pace here.
Yeah, and, you know, in about 30 lines from now, this isn't going to matter for DanV. He will clean this up. We know he'll clean it up, but it's going to cost him, and it is looking like it's already costing him. He's 100k behind.
Yeah, it's pressure that you don't need at this point, although SV here with a long bar dependency on the left, plugs it with the J. Smart burn there with the L to completely clean the stack. Dan still struggling here. This elongated dig, Jonas
It's not even his fault, though. It's just not giving him the opportunities he needs.
It's getting archaeological, as Jonas would say.
Yeah, bless him. It's true. This is an archaeological dig for the centuries here. It's just never ending. Look at him. You can see it in his face. He's just fed up.
It's painful. Sometimes
it's painful.
The pieces will just not comply and really damages your efficiency. Now,
honestly, this is getting unfair.
SV running away with it here, 386,000, down 130k behind at 250. With that Tetris from SV, they're now 160k ahead. And Dan is on the precipice of opening this back up, but terrible square piece.
The square piece.
Forcing to make more holes again. This bar
This is just infuriating.
Is good. And Dan drilled back down to the bottom, but 260,000 points at 100 lines.
All right, come on.
So
all right, everybody. Dan is open. Let's give him a round of applause. Come on, Dan.
SV ahead by about 175k, but this is not insurmountable for Dan. Anything can happen here. SV can get into a mess in post or top out early in post, so all is not lost. We just need to keep going for the time being. It's not a foregone conclusion by any means.
By no means at all. I mean, this is only the first third of the game. We've got 18, then 19, then kill screens. So anything can change at any one of those given moments.
Okay, Dan stacking nicely now. Hopefully there'll be no more extended digs. I don't think he can really afford more extended digs at this point, but everything's clean. Nice SZ took there. Very high J to the left for Dan there. Just holding out for the bar here. Not wanting to lose more efficiency, but long bar drought
finally gets the long bar. And another.
Double Tetris for Dan.
Dan really needed that.
380, but SV transitioning at 580. Dan with the CTUK is set up. 1 Tetris available before transition here. And Dan Tetris into transition.
SV 604.
407, so just shy of 200k. Dan long bar dependent, SV long bar dependent.
So if you're Dan right now, what do you do? Do you carry on playing normally, or do you have to go for it?
You have to go for it, but you have to stay alive and just know you've got 100 lines of post as well, so you can't sacrifice the stack just in post. You can't score points when you're dead, as Heather would say. Okay, Dan clean now, gets the L for the L dependency, takes a skim, really wanting some bars to capitalise whilst SV was digging, but SV clean again now. Dan knocking a couple down, 478, SV 666 with a hole in the stack. Dan knocking another one down, bringing it to 165,000 point deficit, so he's brought it down somewhat. Both players Tetrising, so SV maintaining this, 170k lead. So lower pace game.
The thing is, if SV tops out on level 32 and Dan carries on, he can easily take this back. So it is by no means over right now.
Not at all. SV spending a few seconds burning there. Both players Tetrising. 745 SV with that Tetris. 624 Dan. So he's narrowed it from 170k deficit to 150. He's chiseling away. Dan Tetris 120k deficit now, so he is bringing it back slowly but surely. SV knocks down the Tetris.
Whoa.
Dan needing something for the center. Perfect T and SCPs there to fill that out. Was SV with a little bit
Oh,
burning.
SV with a misdrop. This is going to give Dan a chance right now.
Okay. Dan was 720, so now 90k only deficit. So Dan has brought it back.
He's pulled it back.
Over half of the deficit here. Sam still cleaning up and bar dependent with
I feel like the roles have
in
reversed.
SV still safe, but is bar dependent. Set up for the dirty. Gets
my
the
gosh,
dirty.
the dirty Tetris there for SV.
And with that other Tetris, SV getting a little further ahead again. 900k, 213 lines, 770 for Dan. And SV Tetrising again. So we're back to 160k lead here for SV. A bit of a struggle game for Dan here, but all he can do is carry on.
Dan's 10 lines away from transition. He needs to burn this down.
Both players urgently needing to clean this stack before the second transition here.
Oh, okay, SV managing to do exactly that. Okay, DanV transitioning on 822. SV also transitioning. Uh-oh.
Dan gets a bar to the left, so has a relatively safe stack here. SV also bringing it back down here. So both players safe. Dan behind by 160k. SV set up, knocks the Tetris down, gets the max out. Both players just taking a couple burns here. Dan's going to try set up in the center here if the pieces will allow it. Just takes a safety skim. Is going to set up with the right
just not giving Dan a chance here.
Dan set up here. Knocks the Tetris down. 894 for Dan.
Dan can make all the Tetrises he wants, but SV's doing exactly the same.
Okay, both players with a few little holes to resolve here. Still 7 more levels of post-play.
I think we're going to go all the way here.
I hope so. Both players locked in. Neither stack overly dangerous. SV set up for the Tetris. Gets the Tetris. Does SV to 1.1. So 200,000 point lead here for SV, which is a big lead, but not insurmountable. But Dan needs to get something left.
Oh,
which
and
he does.
gets it left. Beautiful.
Okay, SV almost set up. Takes the triple. Dan clean again. Not going to set up dirty, but both players safe, and this is the most important thing, so we can carry on going deeper into post-post.
I would say, is there an argument for Dan playing it safe and hoping SV tops out, and then he can try to take over with the chase down?
I don't think he can really risk that, because they are sort of running out of runway here. We're level 30, and Dan with the max out now. 150k lead. Dan set up, gets the J, so he is clean, but he needs some help here.
He needs it right now, and he doesn't get it.
And SV.
That's it, SV, you're in the final.
3 years in a row. Current reigning UK champion, SV, Sam Vaughan, into the finals. He's still going with 1.2 now. Let's see where he can take this in the final few levels of the post-post play. He set up, gets a Tetris. 1.3 for SV. Stack a little difficult to deal with, but bring it down. Actually quite safe again now is Sam. Very few lines left. Might struggle to set up here, actually.
Wow.
And there we go. Congratulations, SV. Congratulations, Dan Vinky. Extremely good play from both players here, neck and neck through the vast majority of the match. Extremely high standard of play. Good job, boys. Well done.
Right, Dan. Gosh. What's going on? How fast is your heart rate right now?
I think I should be dead.
I think everyone should be after that. It was incredibly stressful. Do you think you could have done anything differently? I feel like that last game was such a suffer. I said it during the commentary. None of this was your fault. You were just not getting like every single piece you wanted, you were just getting the opposite every single time. And it was like a 30, 40, 50 line archaeological dig. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it was brutal. I don't really know what happened in the last one. Maybe it's like a mixture of nerves, whatever. But I felt like I was making loads of average placements, and then it just wasn't working. I'd just get the worst piece. Like, I wasn't making the best placement, but I think...
Do you think you could have gotten out of it faster than what you did, perhaps?
Yeah, I think there were probably definitely some moves. I was misdropping like a lot as well.
But in the heat of the moment, it's a lot easier said than done. You know, when you're watching it back on the VOD in the comfort of your own home on the sofa, it's like, oh, I should have done that, I should have done that. When you're in the heat of the moment...
It's difficult, isn't it? It's I think when you're watching it, it's really easy to say, oh, why didn't you just do that? And I'm going to watch it back and think that. But in the moment, it's just hard, man. Like, I think all the other games were, like, really good efficiency-wise. And the last one, I just kind of bottled it. I don't know what happened.
Well, I feel like everything came down to that last match. You know, that's going to be the one that we talk about and analyze. And that was the decider at the end of the day. But I don't think you did anything wrong. It was kind of a bit of bad luck, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think the first game, I kind of just went for a center wall for no reason and died. I think that'll probably, set the tone for the set. I don't think I needed to go for that. I could have just taken a triple or something. But it's one of those things. I didn't know what he was at because I couldn't hear anything. But I know if I could hear things, I'd probably play worse. I know that chase down, I had no idea I was going to chase down. I thought I'd won, but I just kept on playing anyway. But then I heard people clapping. I saw people clapping. I was like,
do you think
okay, now I probably won.
Maybe a lesson to have one earphone in and one earphone out?
Yeah, maybe. But either way, it was a good set. I think that's the best set we've ever played against each other.
Easily, and you're a matchup for the ages. And like I said at the end, I hope that we see it for many years to come. I hope you're not going to be too hard on yourself. Everyone here absolutely loves you, loved your performance. The first 2 games, you were neck and neck. The first 4 games, you were just neck and neck the whole way, dealing each other blows back and forth. And, ultimately at the end, it came down to a coin flip. You went heads and it went tail, and then the coin landed on tails, unfortunately.
Yeah, 200k down in the decider is always going to be a tough ask. I think if I had a normal 18 there, maybe I could have taken that one. Because I ended up being 100 and something K behind at the end there. So yeah,
you pulled it back. Yeah.
I think definitely that 18 really screwed me over there. But it is what it is. It's happened, and nothing I can do about it now.
All right. Well, I hope you're not going to be too hard on yourself, and you'll look back on it when you watch the VOD back. You'll look back on it very fondly, and you'll be incredibly proud of your performance. You've made your friends, families, and loved ones really proud, and everyone in this room here loves you, mate. So, commiserations, and hope to see you again. I'm sure we will. Definitely
I'll be back
will.
for sure. Make sure you hit !Matcherino in the Twitch chat.
Yeah, let's see some money in the Matcherino for this guy. Give it up for DanV.
Thank you.